So welcome everyone, and I want to thank you for being here today. Just over a month ago, we launched the Allison Inquiry with a simple goal: to provide Canadians with an opportunity to share their experiences and ensure that their voices are being heard. Today marks the next step in that process. As we prepare for the hearings, we want to provide an update on the response we have received, encourage even more Canadians to come forward, and invite members of Parliament from all parties to take part in listening to the stories of their constituents. Over the past several years, Canadians experienced the pandemic in many different ways. Many families lost loved ones to COVID-19. Many frontline healthcare workers and first responders carried an enormous burden, and I want to once again thank them all for all the work they continue to do every single day. There are also Canadians who suffered serious adverse events following vaccination and who feel their stories have not been adequately heard. Regardless of where someone stands in the broader debate, every Canadian deserves to be treated with dignity, respect, and compassion. When people come forward with their concerns about their health, our first response should never be dismissal, it should be listening. The individuals sharing their experiences through the Allison Inquiry are not statistics. They are mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, friends, and neighbors. Their experiences deserve to be documented, examined, and understood. Good public policy depends on public trust. Trust is strengthened when governments and institutions are willing to ask difficult questions, follow the evidence wherever it leads, and acknowledge when people have been harmed. My position remains simple: compassion for those who suffered from COVID-19, compassion for those who were injured following vaccination, and a commitment to transparency, accountability, ensuring people have the opportunity to tell their stories. Canadians should never be afraid to speak, and governments should never be afraid to listen. Since announcing the Allison Inquiry just over a month ago, the response has been overwhelming. Hundreds of Canadians from across the country have reached out to share their experiences. Many have spoken about their physical, emotional, financial, and personal challenges they continue to face today. Not everyone is comfortable testifying publicly, and we completely understand that. But we still want to hear your story, because every story matters, whether it's shared publicly or privately. We've also heard from members of Parliament from different parts of the country who have been contacted by constituents looking for answers and looking to be heard. That is why emails have now been sent to every member of Parliament, inviting them to engage with this process, informing them of the opportunity for their constituents to participate. If you are someone who believes you or a loved one suffered a vaccine injury, I encourage you to reach out to your local member of Parliament. We invite MPs from all parties to come to the hearings, whether for an afternoon, a day, or the entire week. This should not be a partisan issue. It's about listening to Canadians. Today, I want to highlight once again why these stories matter. This is not about relitigating every decision made during the unprecedented public health crisis. It's not about assigning blame. It's about listening. It's about learning. It's about ensuring that when Canadians face the next public health emergency, we're better prepared because we had the courage and the honesty to examine experiences of Canadians. Canadians deserve transparency. Canadians deserve accountability. And above all, Canadians deserve to know that their experiences matter. The stories that will be shared during the Allison Inquiry are a reminder that behind every statistic is a human being. Many have suffered in silence. Their voices deserve to be heard, and their country should be willing to listen. If you believe you or someone you know has been affected, we encourage you to share your story. Whether you wish to testify publicly or simply submit your experience privately, we want to hear from you. Please visit theallisoninquiry.com and complete the submission form. Thank you very much for being with us today.
We thank MP Dean Allison, Sean, and Teresa Buckley. I'll pass you those. Thank you. For their courage. And their leadership. My name is Michelle Wharton, and I am one of the thousands of Canadians who have experienced an adverse event following a COVID-19 vaccine. And I'm also one of the co-founders of CanRise 19, a scientific-based nonprofit organization founded to support injured Canadians. I was a thriving, vibrant healthcare professional, strong, healthy, and living my life to the fullest. For more than 20 years, I served my community. I built my own dental practice from the ground up and spent my personal time hiking and tour skiing in the mountains with my family. I had no pre-existing medical conditions. Everything changed in the late fall of 2021. My life, as I knew it, changed rapidly. My health vanished. I experienced an adverse reaction following the COVID-19 vaccine. Within 1 hour of my first dose, I experienced elevated heart rate, rapid fluctuations in heart rate and blood pressure, shortness of breath, tightness in my chest, and a general feeling of being unwell. Receiving these injections was not an action I took lightly, and sadly, true informed consent and bodily autonomy were not upheld, the very foundation of ethical practice. Within 48 hours of my second dose, I experienced a rapid and severe onset of neurological and systemic symptoms, including blurred, tunnel, and double vision, burning sensations in my legs, urinary incontinence, tinnitus, dizziness, vertigo with rapid heart rate, blood pressure instability, chest tightness returning, and many additional symptoms that followed. My health declined significantly and has continued to deteriorate over time. Thank you. I now live with much uncertainty of my future. As a result of my vaccine injury, I was forced into medical retirement at just 46 years old. A career that I loved ended abruptly with no opportunity to choose when or how it would end. These conditions are dynamic, they're evolving, and they're not well understood. This journey ultimately led me to the United States in 2023 and again in 2024 in search of private medical care, specialized diagnostics, selling my dental practice, crowdfunding, and eventually brain surgery with a biopsy to relieve brain compression. $148,000 for the brain surgery alone. No one in Canada would help me. They would see the onset of my injury and reject the referrals. Since then, I've been diagnosed with numerous neurological and immune-mediated conditions, and it would take years of self-advocacy to be seen. These conditions continue to progress rapidly, as they do for many Canadians across this country, and without early recognition and medical care, the prognosis is poor. We are still living with the consequences of the past 6 years. The exhaustion, the division, the distress, the damage that never truly healed. There has been no acknowledgement, no meaningful support, no medical care where promised, no accountability. A society that refuses to learn from its past eventually relives what it failed to confront. I live with vision loss, nerve damage, loss of feelings throughout my face and my limbs, and ongoing white matter brain lesions. I experience difficulty maintaining upright position, balance impairment, and relentless neurological pain. Sharp electric shocks, burning sensations, zapping, pain, numbness occur every single minute of every single day for 5 years. Brain inflammation, all due to an immune response that has never resolved. Ongoing cystic masses in multiple organs, including my brain. I spend 90% of my life homebound, bedbound. No family should ever have to carry the burden after trusting and receiving a Health Canada approved medical product. We have been left behind. We've been disregarded. This injury stole my independence, my quality of life, time we can never get back, and replaced it with uncertainty and loss. My faith, God, and my family have carried me through. And today I'm still fighting to access healthcare in Canada. I'm still pleading for treatment. But my story is not unique. Today, I'm not here simply to share my story. I'm here on behalf of the vaccine-injured community at CanRise 19 and the countless Canadians suffering in silence. CanRise 19 provides peer support groups, scientific resources, advocacy, emotional support, literature, and a developing medical care fund, pending charitable status, to assist Canadians in accessing medical care where the government supports have failed. For years, stigma, dismissal, pain, and censorship left many of us feeling completely alone. My co-founder and I, Julie Woods, found one another. Through adversity, pain, isolation, censorship, and abandonment, CanRise 19 was founded. We hear the cries of the injured, and we would not be able to support injured Canadians with the help of our incredible volunteers. If you have experienced an adverse reaction, if you are bereaved, if you've lost a loved one, or if you're caring for someone who's suffering, please reach out. There is urgency. The cost cannot be measured only in terms of medical ailments. This injury robs you of the life you once dreamed of. It tears your body apart, cell by cell, and it does not stop with the injured. Our spouses, our children, our parents, our families, our loved ones, they carry these wounds alongside us. Without acknowledgement, there is no pathway to care. 5 years, half a decade, we've waited. While our health declined, the systems meant to protect us looked away. For many like myself, we want to share our stories while we still have the health and the strength to do so. Many are becoming less able to participate in advocacy efforts. We have encountered profound systemic gaps between adverse event reporting, ongoing safety surveillance, and support. This is vital to provide informed decision-making and recovery. Many have experienced fragmented care, financial hardship, dismissal, medical gaslighting, and even ridicule. And I can attest to this personally. I've experienced it all. And this isn't just about being vaccine injured. It's about what happens after you experience an adverse event. And Canadians need to be aware. The Vaccine Impact Assistance Program, formerly known as VISP, was intended to serve as a safeguard for Canadians harmed following vaccination. Instead, Canadians, including myself, have found ourselves trapped in a bureaucratic system that has failed the very people it was created to help. We are not impacted. We are injured. The very name minimizes our loss. The time is now to break the silence on Parliament Hill. Across the world, injured individuals are entering hospice, and here in Canada, some members of our community speak openly about MAID because it's the only health care they're offered, and it's being pushed on many. I've held these conversations. I've encouraged injured to just hold on. We are the quiet truth no one wants to say out loud. We are the voices too often pushed into the silence, and inside the fight never stops. The struggle to fight for care within a broken medical system, the exhaustion that settled over our family. Throughout the past 5 years, hope has remained. I continue to pray for our injured community in Canada and around the world. We cannot give way to despair. To suppress speech erodes the very fabric of a democratic society, and it does not restore public trust. The Allison Inquiry will provide injured Canadians with the opportunity to share their stories, to have our voices heard by members of Parliament. And for many, this will be the first time. Our hope is that those voices will lead to meaningful change, better diagnostics, research, treatment, support, and restored trust in our government agencies. Understanding that living with a vaccine injury is one of the most inhumane experiences imaginable. Many of us are trapped inside bodies we no longer recognize. You cannot treat what you refuse to acknowledge. The time is now. Because every day without action has a human cost. Every delay means more suffering. Every unanswered question means another Canadian is left behind. And remember that behind every statistic is a human being. A mother, a father, a child, a spouse, family, whose lives have been forever changed. And it could have been you. We cannot recover the years we've lost, but together we can help ensure that no one else loses theirs. And behind every story is a Canadian who deserves dignity, compassion, and care. But it starts with listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I think the country needs to take a little breath now. My name is Teresa Buckley, and I'm a volunteer with the Allison Inquiry. As MP Dean Allison mentioned, we want to encourage all Canadians and all COVID-19 vaccine injured persons across the country to contact their members of Parliament and ask for their presence at the Allison Inquiry on September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. We want elected representatives to listen to the stories and to their constituents who are suffering. As we spoke of last month, the silence is now broken. There comes a time where we're all faced with an inflection point in our lives, and we have to decide what type of people we want to be. We want all of the members of Parliament to understand that this is actually a point for them. This is an inflection point in their humanity. Are they prepared to listen? All we want is for them to listen to stories such as Michelle's. We've established on our website very simple methods of contacting your members of Parliament. Please go to allisoninquiry.com and you'll be able to look at different ways where you can phone, you can email, you can write letters, you can visit them in person. This is a nonpartisan event. This is not political. The injuries, suffering by probably hundreds of thousands of Canadians is not a political event. This is life. Go to our website as well and print out our posters, our cards. We want these distributed across Canada. Put them in the grocery store, put them in your shopping malls, and give them to your doctors. They need to understand that the time for silence is over. If you're a Canadian that's not sure if you can do this, if you cannot, not sure if you can contact your MP, we would just encourage you to have courage. If you're a vaccine-injured Canadian, and if you're unsure whether or not to speak with your MP, whether or not he's going to listen, we ask you to have courage. If you're a member of Parliament or a person from the public sector, and if you're vaccine injured, we want to hear your story. If you've lost people that have died as a result of the COVID-19 vaccine, we want to hear your story. Michelle traveled over 4,000 kilometers yesterday by herself on a plane without aid to stand on this stage for 7 minutes to share with you. Her doing this will end up affecting her for several days, if not weeks. You see, tomorrow when we get on with our day, she's going to be in this spiral of pain as a result of standing here today. So if you're not sure if you have courage to contact your MP or to contact us to testify, or if you're a member of Parliament and if you're not sure if you can stand beside a Conservative or stand beside vaccine-injured people, we would want to just remind you of Michelle's courage and implore you to perhaps seize a little bit of her courage and come forward. As we said last time, the silence is broken, and Canadians are suffering, and it's now time for us to listen.
I think it's important for those that are injured by the COVID-19 vaccines and they're suffering alone to understand that CanRise 19 is a group of people suffering from COVID-19 injuries that are self-supporting. So you need to reach out and understand. Sorry, you can't not have emotion. You have to understand you're not alone. And we found that there are a lot of people that are actually afraid to testify. They're afraid maybe of losing some benefits. They're afraid for other reasons. And we've also come to understand that we have no idea how fragile this community is. So we can't, unless you've experienced chronic pain. Michelle's in chronic pain. She has cystic masses all through her body, and she's in chronic pain 24 hours a day. This isn't an exception. The stories that we're receiving are just awful. We had a group Zoom call 2 weeks ago, and I asked, there's two ladies that are tasked with reading the stories that come in, and I asked, you know, how are you doing? And one just broke into tears and wept for the rest of the call, because you can't not be affected by this. And Michelle was describing to you gaslighting. we can't accept, our medical community can't accept that there are mass vaccine injuries by the COVID-19 vaccine. So they are gaslit. They're told it's in their head. There isn't a proper diagnosis, and so they can't be treated. And they've been experiencing this now for year after year after year, and it breaks your spirit. And they're so fragile. We're finding that some of them are traumatized by having to fill in a form because it's a medical type form. And they're so traumatized from having to deal with the medical community. And for those where, the doctor hasn't verified, no, this is a vaccine injury, we want a team of volunteer doctors to be able to just vet and make sure that no, this is a vaccine injury. Well, the idea of having to talk to a volunteer medical doctor is going to be re-traumatizing. Do you understand just how we have abused these people? And there's controversy. How dare you have a formal venue where all we're doing is allowing them to come and share their stories because we need to hear their stories. Because I have a vision of a Canada that's not afraid to examine its actions and say, maybe there's a problem here that we can fix. How do we have confidence in public health? Rasmussen in September 2025 in the U.S. did a poll, and 56.6% of Americans believed that the COVID vaccine caused serious death, not just death, serious death. We don't know what the numbers are in Canada, and that's just speaking about deaths. What percentage of the Canadian population believes that the COVID-19 vaccines cause serious harm, short of death? It's well over half. And, when we were having problems with our blood supply, Canadians stopped donating blood because they lost confidence. And how did we restore confidence? Is we honestly looked at it and we said we had a problem and we fixed the problem, and now Canadians donate blood again because confidence is restored. We can't restore confidence in our public health system until we have that conversation. And as a nation, we can't be divided on this issue. So it is time to stop criticizing even the idea of allowing people like Michelle who are desperate, and some of them are desperate to tell their stories before they die. And the answer isn't to give them aid. The answer is, my vision for Canada, and it doesn't come from me, is for us to be a proud and caring nation, that we're not afraid to have a dialogue, and we're not afraid to take care of those that we've absolutely victimized. And that's why we need you to support the Allison inquiry. MPs, we need you to show up and show compassion. We have to have this dialogue, and you need to be in front of it. Vaccine-injured persons, if people have died around you, apply for them. Let's get these stories told. And this isn't a government inquiry. There's no funding. We actually need citizens to step up and fund it so we can pay travel for the injured like Michelle to come and share their stories. This will only happen if people step up and donate. What a shame that citizens have to organize behind MP Dean Allison to fund and organize a discussion that is long overdue in Canada. What a shame. I'm ashamed. But I'm calling on fellow Canadians to get behind this, support us financially, apply, tell the stories of others who can't tell their stories, and members of Parliament come and be at the forefront. Other nations have held inquiries. Other nations have had this discussion. It's time for the discussion in Canada.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci, c'est ce qui met fin à cette conférence de presse.
Do we have time for one question that was sent in, or are we still on air? So Bruce from Unscrew the News sent a question to us asking, basically, why has it taken so long for any MP to stand up, for there to be any government response? And that's really a question that can't be answered. And I think we just need to leave that question unanswered. But, I can say, MP Dean Allison has made the decision that he has to, in a public forum, honor those that are injured, telling their stories in a formal context. So we can't answer the question why it's taken so long, but we can get behind MP Dean Allison. We can encourage our other MPs to stand up and to be at the table listening to their constituents tell their stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you.